he is Elder Titan. It does take 2 seconds at the very least to be able to stop. All of a sudden, you kill Lifestealer in the middle of that fight, and it doesn't feel as good, right? And you have no chances of winning. So this is going to be a concern. I wonder if they're going to be able to build into something that could cancel that Fiend script, but I honestly can't think of anything. Maybe Mind Control built into like a Lotus or something like that to help with the Lifestealer. I do think that that deviation is honestly justified this game. That's your biggest issue. Also, in general, ET is not that great this game. I do feel like the natural order was hype in the beginning, but Tiny's armor is not base armor. Mars's bulwark will block a lot of the physical damage. You know, Coddle doesn't have armor to begin with. You're not really stopping anything there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about his ulti, I guess. Just Earth Splitter being as strong as it really is. Is always going to be nice at chunking through these rather tanky 2 cores. It'll make the Mars initiations a little bit scary. Again, I think like you're hitting at least one hero every single fight with Earth Splitter. Like you've got Enchant, you have Viper Strike, you have Searing Chains. Like that's good enough for one hero, and perhaps that's what NIGMA thinks that's all they need to do, as long as they get the start to each one of their team fights. ET and Ench both pretty excellent support. They're definitely up there in terms of their abilities to break smokes. So I like that as well quite a bit here for NIGMA.
Did they put the ward from outside vision?
Not get to catch it. Arrow is going to be caught by Mind Control. Avalanche taking level 1 as Kuro is going to try and heal him up with the level 1 Nature's Attendance. Mind Control still dying, however, to the right clicks of the Tiny. GH with a decent amount of damage here at level 1, and with the boots can definitely pump it in. It's only a level 1 ET, and it's only 3 heroes that he's going to be able to steal the damage from. So, first blood going the way of the Gladiators.
Forcing level 1 into attendance also small. ET just towards it. I thought they did it from the trees, but apparently they ignored it. And it seems like they're going to lane the Enchantress with the Viper. That's a really tough lane. I'm really glad that they chose to do that. They're really capitalizing on this early game.
Another
arrow. Of course, with Bane and Mirana is going to be a bit difficult. KuroKy still has nature attendance though, but he's not going to get a chance to use them as the Avalanche blocks him right immediately. Seleri could be in trouble himself. Poison attack up to 5 stacks, and Mind Control will finish off the Bane. But the loss of the Enchantress here is a big deal because she needs that level 2 direly in this lane after that sad lackluster level 1 point.
Yeah, ET is a great tri-laner because he doesn't need too many levels, and as long as everyone else around him is a little bit under leveled as well, he's usually going to excel, just thanks of course to the Astral Spirit buff. The Ench though is a little bit more XP dependent, and Viper as well really wants the second point in fight and poison attack. DyrachYO gets the toss back, the arrow's going to sail through and miss. That might not matter too much, but it will at least force back Mind Control.
The Ench is a good tri-laner if you manage to go for level 1 enchant. I think that's the... But of course, because she was... I mean, again, I'm not criticizing KuroKy for this build. It's understandable perfectly, but they were probably not expecting a tri-lane, and now they're a little bit screwed. Because the pressure they want to put against the Tiny is not going to be there that early. You're going to have to wait a little bit and try to maybe play some shenanigans to get that experience elsewhere. Ace, though, in the top lane will struggle against iLTW. Well, I mean, that lane is just iLTW favored. Obviously, as Lifestealer gets more levels, the easier it becomes. So at least they do secure some nice safe farm for their care.
Yep. And it's not like it's a lane that's mighty difficult anyway for iLTW, to be completely honest. He always has the option of taking that safety point in the Rage in case he sees the Spear come in. Bonk into Spears, quite predictable. Spear with a pretty long windup. Checking in on the mid lane though, as we see the Coddle and Ember matchup begin to develop.
Develop.
Well,
you mean Coddle's blasting waves? He's no longer caring about Ember. He's like, what?
Yeah.
He can lane against me? If you guys have never played mid lane in your life, play Coddle. This is the most anti-mid lane support. Or anti-mid lane hero in your life. All you need to do is blast the waves. Obviously, it got nerfed a little bit because now you can't go for the null talisman early, which allows you to blast the wave much earlier. Or the spell lamp from the null talisman and completely destroy the wave.
I think Miracle's going to block this camp. Yeah.
Good job, Miracle. That's what you do against the Coddle. You see the rage as he broke that other sentry down? Nice job, Miracle.
Yeah, he's like, this is not cool. Only I can farm the camps. They brought back Ember for Sleight of Fist. This is my thing. This isn't yours. And Boom's like, that's fine. I'll go ahead and farm these camps over here.
That's right. That's the problem. You can't never stop Coddle. Me. Truly, Coddle will always come out on top. He just takes your camp.
He's gonna take your.
Nice. Okay, wait. Chakra Magic has been used. There's an opportunity for Miracle. He has Sleight of Fist. Boom is gonna start charging again. And Ace does die in the top lane to iLTW, but this is more exciting. He stole the camp. He did it.
He got
Boom.
most of them.
True Coddle.
Yeah, and if we check the Death Summer here, it's just going to be right clicks into right clicks. Of course, the Gold Frenzy slow. There is an Orb of Venom online here for the Lifestealer. It should be an Orb of Corrosion now flying his way. Indeed it is. So this lane is going to start getting pretty scary for Ace, actually, especially with the Blades of Attack, first item for the phase boots for iLTW as well on the Courier.
Good choice by Ace, though. If you see, he actually bought a Helm of the Iron Will first. He might be deviating into Armlet. He might just keep it as Helm. But that's going to help him out a lot to deal with the Lifestealer.
Down bottom, just to continue checking up on this tri-lane as the Mirana rotates back from the lane. tOfu is coming back. This is kind of a big loss by NIGMA. They attempt to go for the D-ward to unblock this camp because Kuro finally has the point and enchants. Of course, they want to take a hard camp creep, but they've missed the sentry. So the Gladiators continue to block this camp.
That makes Tetris feels poor, especially with the second point in enchant. Now he's like, well, I have to wait to the third level and then I'll finally be useful. But he is taking advantage of the slow a little bit, and of course that extra ghost to be able to deal with the Dane just with auto attacks alone. Not bad. I mean, this lane is a really strong lane, so I didn't expect them to lose to begin with. And now DyrachYO started to feel the pain compared to iLTW's last hits. Which is why tOfu goes top, I'm pretty sure. Just to deal with the Lifestealer.
Indeed. Boom. He's going to try and clear this camp as well. Centaur camp, the most annoying for him, given that they've got the magic aura. So yeah, GH and tOfu are going to start sparring in this top lane now. A little bit more dangerous for iLTW, but he's already up to level 6, so, you know, not that dangerous for him, all things considered.
iLTW. I mean, this is regular Lifestealer, right? If you pick Lifestealer and you have a struggle lane, then why did you pick the hero to fall off? But right now, he's at his peak. The over corrosion is super happy. Wing base boots will be more aggressive. Unfortunately, as we mentioned multiple times already, this draft lacks stuns, and Lifestealer's chances of getting a kill are kind of based on the enemy team making a positioning mistake and slowing them to death. They really don't have any other option.
Yeah, and he's even actually super annoyed by an ability like Solar Bind, to be honest. So it's not like Gladiators don't have their outplays themselves as Mind Control. Yep, he's going to be nightmared up. They toggle on the Nightmare to be able to harass Seleri a bit. And with the vision here from the Warpine Raider, they're getting in some good damage. The seat shot there bouncing a couple of times. Seleri continuing to be harassed as Mind Control's going to throw in the Nether Toxin, and that's going to be a kill onto the Bane at the very least. They can't get the Tiny, but still something here for Mind Control's early game.
DyrachYO staying in the lane though. Really playing with fire here. Mind Control has enough mana and Magic Wand sticks, Magic Wand charges, sorry, to be able to kill off the Tiny here.
KuroKy charges.
KuroKy already trying to go from behind instead of taking the rune. I wonder if he's just gonna go gank. Made another option. I don't think Coddle's the easiest gank though. He's a very fast hero, especially with the spirit form, and he also has the leanest figure in the game, so it's difficult to really target him with anything.
Yeah, of course, hard to click on him with like finger or enchant. 6-minute BOTs, of course, on the hero. Yeah, it's become quite normal. Nothing to worry about here. Coddle, he does have a vessel in the quick buy, curiously enough.
Yeah, that's the build that people are doing these days.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Obviously, it's only if it's a good vessel game. Boom. He has been slowed now with the enchant, though Miracle has no Series chains.
Good arrow.
Will cover him, and it does hit Miracle. And now time for Boom to retreat. That will stop the Mirana. That's not going to be enough to finish off the Coddle. tOfu might have to sacrifice himself. He does one more leap. Also the Fairy Fire. Is he baiting up Miracle, using the Fairy Fire for safety? Miracle does not care for fire, as he has a sleight assist himself.
In the meantime, the mid-tier 1 taking a lot of damage out from the skeletons of KuroKy, so Ace is going to rotate on over to make sure they don't lose the mid-tier 1 for free, as the Coddle is going to TP back into the beta lane with his BOTs. Continue farming away.
KuroKy is doing the strat that we saw Insania do, like where whenever there's a fight anywhere near the mid lane, you just get the Dark Troll Summoner, send it to the tower, and, you know, AFK. You don't even need to click him. You just summon skeletons and the tower falls solo. It's kind of ridiculous how much push this hero brings to the tier 1s. It's a huge map opener early, and it's actually very well utilized with this draft. Both Ember and Lifestealer love being able to take down tier 1s. One, because they get to get kills easily. They're both relatively active hero. And two, because that allows Lifestealer to actually farm at the speed of more normal characters. More space than them.
Yep, exactly. tOfu forced to utilize his insta-kill OP arrow on the wagon, so they didn't have to worry, Kuro didn't have to worry about him losing his Dark Troll Summoner to a random arrow. Ace is, again,
I think you micro the skeletons as well to stop that, right? I don't think it's an easy...
You can.
Another reason why the Dark Troll Summoner is a bit broken.
Seleri, DD rune. Uh-oh, the Nightmare.
Oh, so much damage each auto attack. I think GH is gonna die to the Illuminate though. Oh, Seleri actually wants to take the kill. He worked hard for this one. He earned it. You know what? Here at OSHA, we support that.
Kill secured. The supports, you know, it's a support tax. Well, I mean, what's going on? You got a Coddle in the mid lane. You got a Bane taking the DD runes, sniping these kills. There it goes. He's stacking. That's what he's saying.
Is under attack.
It is. The support's actually quite under leveled here as a result of the trial lane. Quite naturally, of course, right? As we can see, really just the supports at level 4. Seleri is actually leading all the supports in terms of their XP. The cores, of course, they've got plenty of cake to go around. No worries there for themselves.
Bottom, NIGMA said to also try to put some bottom tower. Easy to push the mid tower. tOfu has no arrow, so you can't take down the Enchantress creep. And they're just have to let it go, honestly. I mean, Seleri is coming. There's a TP, so at least they want to force some kills out of this tower push. Boom joins. Illuminate can be set up on that Nightmare, so at least one of them can get hit. Apparently both get hit.
Here's Ace.
The Solar Bind on top of that with the Arena, but they don't get the Spear off. Mind Control will die regardless. KuroKy is able to TP for now. The damage is too high, and KuroKy will also fall. Tower does die, or Tower does fall for this. So overall, not the worst trade for NIGMA, but they did lose 2 heroes.
Well, I actually think it's not too bad. They might just get mid. DyrachYO, though, defending as he's going to toss the tree after GH, so that'll pick up the kill. Miracle, though, still with the Flame Guard active, doing a good amount of damage to DyrachYO. There's no TPs available either for him. Seleri at the ready here for the Nightmare. That'll get DyrachYO out of a tough situation here, but 2 remnants available for Miracle. He's not going to go for the kill. He's going to make the safe play and back away.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Lower on net worth here for Gaming Gladiators, but looking good regardless. The rotations have been really on point, and they've kind of just stuck together as a support combo. Not very common to see this these days, but as I like to mention, Viking GG, which is Seleri and Boom's old team, used to do this all the time. They used to actually do a lot of support combos, and they would force the supports to rotate together much more often than other teams did, sacrificing a bit of their experience. But against especially strong laning lineups like NIGMA's, it works amazingly because it's the best way to stop this massive tower push you can have early, of them taking over all your tier 1s, and of you at least getting some counter kills, right? So it's a good strategy for this game particularly. It's working out enough to stave off the bleeding here that NIGMA has started out.
Yep, for sure. NIGMA, of course, they did build for this. They planned for this with their kind of more lane-focused strategy. You can definitely snowball like 2 or 3 lanes one into an entire game, as Brame kind of did yesterday, right? But even if you're kind of lacking the team fight, if you just kind of run at enemies with tier 1 towers up, that does become much more difficult. GH's smoke will break in exchange at least for the D ward as NIGMA turn their attention towards the top lane. iLTW still supporting this wagon now. Seleri, though, has the Fiend's Grip and might consider setting up for it. He's got tOfu nearby as well as DyrachYO. Grip is now going to be applied. GH has already used the Astral Spirit, so there's no chance for an Echo Stomp to save. And it's actually even Boom who cancels the TP as he realizes he's not even needed for the kill.
And this is the biggest threat they have throughout the whole game, which is what do they do against the Fiend Script, right? With a single cancel. In the late game, obviously in the team fight, it's going to become an issue, but early, when the ganks are going to be coming, it essentially has to be GH babysitting the Lifestealer all the time, or else he's always vulnerable to this Fiend Script. I don't really know what their plan is going to be here. I'm really, really curious as to what item is going to be to deal. This is a problem. And it also makes Seleri the most valuable hero in the game.
Yep, Seleri just denying the regen rune. He's trolling on these power runes. He's already denied half of them since they've spawned. I guess taking the DD rune for a kill, right? But yeah, it's a pretty major kill, the impact that this Bane's able to have early on. Because again, even though NIGMA get out even or / ahead in 2 of their 3 lanes, they don't. Oh, there's the tower. Wildwing Ripper.
Enchantress, dude. That's so dumb. She literally just threw creeps to the tower until the tower finally fell. That is. All right.
Balanced, dear lady. But anyway,
it's only effective for the tier 1s at least, right? You can't do that with tier 2s.
Or the Ancient, luckily.
Yeah, that would be really bad. Seleri doesn't have the Fiend Script right now, so I don't know this is the best fight. Moonlight Shadow gets detected by the scan. We still have the Arena Blood.
Into Arrow is possible, though.
Is? Oh, or maybe set up the Arena instead. There's the Arrow, guaranteeing the potential Arena Spear. Instead, they just use the Spear, because they don't think they're probably going to win this fight. But Ace has been revealed. Could be in trouble now, as Seleri also in trouble himself. TP's the ultimate counter to the strat. Works out. So does Ace's.
Yeah, wow. As soon as Echo Stomp is used, you can just kind of double tap home. You know, it's like Yeah, that's really it. That's really all that NIGMA have. They have damage, and they have plenty of it, especially now that Lifestealer inside the Enchantress creep here has Armlet online. He's going to be going for the Deso here after he completes the Magic Wand on top of the Orb of Corrosion. So lots of minus armor at the very least, and with the Maelstrom now online, NIGMA definitely in a position where if they can get their hands on top of heroes, they can do plenty of damage. But that's the key if, right? If they can get their hands on top of these heroes.
Especially, I think we're going to see Gaming Gladiators play somewhat defensively, so they always have the option of just away, and they can especially punish the fact that Mind Control went for a more damaging Viper than the Rod of Atos that we're sometimes seeing in the offlane. It's not very common these days, but for this particular draft, I think it was kind of it should have been a consideration at least, which means that there's only a single way to cancel, or two ways to cancel TP.
Yeah, and Seleri just executed perfectly the Nightmare save versus literally the only stun/interrupt that NIGMA have. Again, pretty easy to do on the Bane, especially because it's like 0.75 seconds of immunity or something like that. It's quite long on the Nightmare sleep, so yep, pretty easy for him to execute on. And he is going to be not building into Cast Range, instead going for the Medallion earlier. And speaking of another item build that I saw that was a little bit interesting, for Ace, he actually did decide to go fully into the Armlet after the Soul Ring, so much like the 730E Mars builds that we used to see. Seleri is likely dead here, though. I don't think he's getting out of this one.
Nope. You can't TP for the danger this time. Yeah, you're right. In general, though, we see a lot of deviation towards like armor items, right? That we're seeing the Armlet, or sorry, the Medallion for Seleri, not a very common build on Bane either. And of course the Armlet, which also gives you a bunch of armor. So I think that's partially the idea. Deal with the ET to some degree, make sure Lifestealer can just burst you down quickly. Lifestealer did go for the Armlet build, so there is the chance still of going for Desolator. He seems to be going for Sanj, but obviously Gaming Gladiators don't know this, they can't see any. So I do think there's a pretty smart idea. You need stats right now, you need survivability. They don't have stuns, they only have damage, so just try to survive as much damage as possible. This build is considered slower generally, the Armlet build for Mars these days. That's why it's not picked up as much, but it's still valid. It's not a bad build.
Seleri bottom may consider a Fiend's Grip, and he's not just going to consider it, he's going to go ahead and go for it. NIGMA, though, quickly closing the door as they look to at least pick off Boom or perhaps even Seleri on this. Vessel debuff not going to be enough to nuke through Mind Control, as they lack the damage between ultimately two support heroes. And NIGMA will be able to save Mind Control. No problems there.
Yeah, the Kato build nowadays, which doesn't go for the Dagon as often, or not really seen it, is not obviously as good at nuking people. You're much better at like pushing out waves, and you're much more useful in team fights, but nuking people, you kind of need the help of someone else. And we kind of saw that. It's the overconfidence of being a Bane, thinking is a free Fiend Script game, but then forgetting that Fiend Script does have a limit, and eventually you need to kill the person.
Kuro, he knew this. He's baiting for this, but he's just going to end up dying, ultimately, as I guess he doesn't want to reveal the presence of the ward he just put down. Or for now, anyway, Gladiators are not going to de-ward that. They don't have any sentries on them, but I think Kuro didn't want to give up his ward, which is why he gladly accepts death there.
It's really not that big a deal, right? If you sacrifice an arena for this. I guess every small kill on the Enchantress kind of counts because she's a big source of push early, but I don't really care right now if you're Gaming Gladiators. You're trying to get your Tiny online. He has gone for a more active build with an earlier Blink Dagger, and that will allow him to fight a bit earlier, but he already has the shard online, and just gonna keep on farming probably until the beacon happens. Boom is enough to deal with these lanes for the next 5 minutes, I'd say.
Under attack.
Yeah, pretty easily. I think you can still basically two-shot the waves almost the entire game, to be honest, until the creep get mega not like upgraded, but to megas, even though that'll also do. They don't really tank up that much against a really high damage ability like the Illuminate. GH down bottom, just looking to absorb XP. Let's see what's he got now on the ET. Just the drums. Building into BKB for himself, not going for the Acceptor build.
The prize is mine.
Gonna go for Roche now. I guess with a Medallion it would be possible, but it doesn't happen yet, so this Roche is gonna take forever.
NIGMA do fight pretty decently around the Roche pit between Searing Chains, just Nether Toxin, and of course ET, who is one of the better Roche controllers in the game.
Medallion's coming, Richie.
There it is.
It's almost here. Forget he gets Seleri, walks towards the courier. He gets the Medallion now.
Wow,
Roche now a little bit
as a DD rune. Yeah, DyrachYO will blink on over for that. That'll make things pretty snappy. That's better.
Well, I mean, they did it. It took a while, but they did it. NIGMA none the wiser, or at least didn't want to contest, apparently. We didn't talk about their lack of team fight, and maybe that's why they weren't even considering this idea. I wouldn't have expected, to be honest, that Gaming Gladiators would go for Rosho. Maybe that was a bit of a surprise for them anyway.
Oh, Seleri break.
Has Fiend's Grip. Yeah, realizes that's a little bit of a dangerous play. Should have caught him at the beginning, but didn't in time. Good rage there by iLTW to prevent the potential nightmare.
Yeah, I actually thought they were going to jump in on that. Tiny with the DD rune and, of course, Blink Dagger can really close the door quite quickly as he does now onto iLTW, down to half HP, but the spear will not latch onto the tree. GH threatening for the Echo Stomp here, and with the chance, should at least catch DyrachYO, but they also get a +1 onto Ace. Fiend's Grip is through from Seleri, but he's going to die. Well, actually to the Split Earth, but if not to that, it was going to be the Flame Guard of Miracle, which was still running, but it does burn the BKB duration, allowing DyrachYO to now find him. Jumps on in. Ace trying to go for a follow-up play, but lacks the spear to do so, and now trapped on the wrong side of the river here with some unfriendly faces. Will pop his own BKB. Spear's going to whiff. iLTW is still incredibly healthy. That's going to be Gladiators just getting the tier 1 tower for that.
Support for support in the end, so not a bad trade, especially because, as you said, Gladiators got the tower. In the end, I mean, this is their difficulty. If you can't really burst them down in the time that you initiate on. Ace did have the BKB this time, which saved him, obviously. He was dead otherwise, but you kind of need to burst the one of the main cores down to make this team fight easier for... Or have a lot of rundown, right? So you can just run them down through mid. With a Coddle, it's much harder to do that. He has constant displacement and also constant damage in an area. Choke points are very dangerous against them. tOfu has been caught though. You'll sit there first, but that's not going to save you from the stump. And tOfu, now regretting using that Yules offensively, gonna die to the 2 auto attacks here from NIGMA. They're very experienced at playing with those stuns, though, I gotta say. They're really good at this now.
Yeah, I mean, they do well to not wake him up, you know, they definitely recognize this as their only stun. Let's make sure we do our damage together, wait for the Sleight of Fist, throw the impetus, wait for the impetus to hit, then you Sleight of Fist. So really good job here. Yeah, I mean, these kills are important for NIGMA. Right now, Tiny with this Aegis is, you know, easily going to be able to farm up his BKB, but the more you can delay these aggressive moves, the more you can kind of force the Gladiators to farm on their side of the map rather than yours, the better chance in this game that you actually have as NIGMA.
I mean, the difficulty, though, is that Gladiators has kind of abused this already. I think the Roche attempt is a good example of this, right? You are farming always on your side of the map. You're always trying to play defensively as game. And NIGMA doesn't have that many tools to do the right incursions just yet, and to put the right offensive ward. As a result, when that Roche happens, again, I don't know if they knew or they just decided not to contest it, but it'd be hard for them to know because the lanes are always pushed, right? The lanes are always pushed. You're seeing very few people on the map, mostly just the ult man. It's difficult.
Smoke play now from the Gladiators.
Good rage, but Fiend's Grip is here. Where's the Elder Titan? Who cancels this? There we go. Nice job, GH, protecting his carry properly, even more so as he behaves like a taxi right now, and should be able to get away from this. Heals are still available. Okay, GH, seeing the opportunity to counter-initiate. Stun up in the air. They hit him with the arrow. Avalanche as well. They want to kill GH first. Will they succeed? They will. GH is already down, but iLTW starts to hit down Boom. No vision, however. Moonlight Shadow will save him for now. DyrachYO, he is going to hit up the Viper straight up. DyrachYO struggling against all this movement speed slows. They need some more initiation, but they're locking the arena now, and that means DyrachYO is just going to lose his first life here relatively easily. BKB activated on Ace though, and BKB is for KuroKy apparently, or Mind Control, who's been much more slowed. Boom, keeping the enemy at bay, but he's got a bit too far. He's a bit too far in, and Lightstream's going to punish that immediately with a slow Seleri, the next target as well. But DyrachYO's back with a vengeance, and he has full HP now. iLTW cannot survive the damage from tOfu, and DyrachYO's clean. GH trying to get some space for his teammate with that stomp. You'll set the use of the stop Miracle. He can't get away. Beautiful spear on top of that, and Miracle will fall. KuroKy has also been put to a nightmare, and now he's going to be woken up rudely with a Starstorm. Do they have enough damage to bring him down, though? As the Tinies has to go for GH instead, they will. Both supports fall simultaneously. Gaming Gladiators get a team wipe and 1.
Yeah, that was a really nice back and forth fight, but Gladiators with the Aegis kind of making the difference. Ace as well conserves his BKB, even if his Arena of Blood isn't really all that much to write home about. But the issue for NIGMA is they use kind of all their slows and all their quote-unquote catch and abilities, killing the Tiny on his first life, but when he responds, there's not really anything stopping the rest of Gladiators from just continuing to fight. All things considered, outside of the Fiend's Grip and Arena, Gladiators are quite a low cooldown team. They can fight into the low cooldowns that Gladiators, or that NIGMA would like to boast about this game, being the Rage, being Sleight of Fist, being Poison Attack, right? Gladiators can definitely match that, and if anything, they're the ones with the Coddle, so they can even bring the fight a little bit faster to you. as we can see here. Nice plays, though. Good back and forth. There's a Fiend's Grip, though, as they have caught themselves a Viper. DyrachYO slowly but surely doing the damage through the BKB. That's going to be Seleri, again, just popping off. It's a very free Fiend's Grip game, like we've talked about.
Yep. And now we're starting to see what we talked about in the draft. NIGMA's starting to run out of steam. They can't run up the enemy anymore and just win. Tiny's online. And now, what counter strategies do you have, right? That's the difficulty of kind of picking up the Viper often as well, and the position you put yourself in with the Enchantress Viper Elder Titan combo. Don't really have that much team play.
You know, but something I'd like to bring up and talk to you about, because I think a lot of people that only watch Tier 1 Dota, they might not recognize that NIGMA, like, they're a Tier 1 team, right? Sure, they may be 0-3, but, like, they're definitely still... Well, hear me out, right? Hear me out. Because they kind of just sat back and farmed this game on, like, the Ember, on the Viper. Like, everyone was just kind of farming, right? And they let Gladiators farm. Like, I think many people would question, why didn't they go and fight? Why don't they look to fight out of the lanes? It's because, honestly, they can't. Like, their catch is really bad. Their disengage is even worse, right? Like, and they recognize this, so they don't even look to go for it. The issue for them becomes, when then do you look to force the issue? I think that Roche play was actually a clever one by Gladiators, because I really don't think NIGMA were prepared for it whatsoever.
Yeah. That preface scared me. I thought you were going to do a rant like a typical NIGMA fan, but instead they're going to try to go for a play now with a smoke. I mean, this is not a bad play, but once again, they're all too far together. The Infesta saves the Viper. iLTW is still in trouble. They do use the arena mind control. Ashley's been stopped by the creeps. Oh, despite his BKB, he couldn't get out of the arena wall because the creep wave gets stuck in the wall as well. What a way to die, mind control.
Miracle.
And now the spear catches the Miracle, and that damage is too high. DyrachYO will deal with him easily. KuroKy's the next target, apparently. iLTW trying to fight for his team, but iLTW is solo. His team's already dead. Aces a spear in 1 second. iLTW is going to get stunned by the Avalanche. Spear not even needed, apparently, as the damage is too high. GAIMIN GLADIATORS get yet another team wipe here, Richie, and this is just falling apart for NIGMA.
Yeah, it really is. Gladiators just with superior vision right now. The way that they're able to move around the map because they have stuns, because they have disengage, because they have Moonlight Shadow, right? I mean, there's so many things to their favor which allow them to plant these deep wards that NIGMA just can't really safely get up to at the end of the day. That's at least going to be 1 lane of barracks, if not 2, of course, with Tiny. Of course, he does not take any prisoners on the high ground.
No, those towers can't run away from the menace that is Tiny. In general, NIGMA hasn't been able to either, but at least they try, right? Well, the towers have to stay there and take the beating. DyrachYO will take down 2 sets of racks relatively easily, or at least important racks.
Get him! Kuro, chase him away!
Oh no!
Oh no, he caught an arrow.
KuroKy, no! I think the Illuminate kills him. There we go. And in fact, KuroKy's dead sets up for the onslaught. The DyrachYO just catches Miracle and murders him. Mind control activates the BKB. So the DyrachYO here, iLTW caught by the Fiend's Grip. Who's going to cancel it now? They control GH. His Fiend's Grip's going to last forever. iLTW dies. So does Mind control. GH will be the last victim. 3 team wipes in a row. It's time to call GG.
What a game. What a game by Gladiators. They just kind of sat back. They weren't really too pressured. They make one bold move to go for Roche. They fight well, basically once down bottom, which was, I think, their true test this game. And they pass with flying colors, get the team wipe, and from there, two more